Quarterback segment are our panelists of the day, Jacob Rich and Jason Nichols. Good to see both of you this morning. Jacob, I want to start with you. Joining us now, Jason, an old friend of the show. Jacob, I want to start with you. You have policy experience. You know, it's not unusual, certainly for Joe Biden or the incoming president to put a team together before the election is certified, but maybe unusual to do so before the sitting president concedes. Can you get it done? Yeah,
he can definitely get it done. I mean, he's been putting multiple people on the HHS team, just preempting the transfer of power. And this is actually very typical for presidencies to do this. After 9/11 happened, we did this for all sorts of 9/11 related type of national security concerns. And COVID-19 and pandemics are probably one of the largest national security concerns outside of like nuclear threats, to be completely honest. So to be so proactive in putting together a team in order to move forward and to be able to just look good and have some sort of transition that actually makes sense right when he comes into office on January 20th completely makes sense.
And let me just follow up with you real quick, Jacob, because obviously people who support the sitting president right now say, look, nothing's official until it's certified. So if you are Joe Biden, do you just go all in and just go forward as if you don't expect any complications?
I would. I mean, there is probably small amounts of voter fraud that happen every single year, but he won by a landslide, to be completely honest. Some people say the polls were not completely accurate, but the polls seem to predict everything but 2 states. Even if there were small margins, that's pretty accurate for polls. And the amount of votes that he would need to turn over, Trump would need to turn over in order for Biden to take back over is astronomical. So unless there's absolute massive amounts of fraud, I think Joe Biden should just go forward as if he's going to be president on January 20th.
All right, Jason, let me get to you. And, you know, the same topic right now, because, look, you teach these things in addition to studying these things. How do you see this particular election being looked back on in history?
Well, I think for the last 4 years, this has been an aberration in our history. I think that we're going to look back on it and we're going to say that it was abnormal, just like we look back on the year 2000 in that election and say that there were a lot of abnormalities. But I think this, 2000 pales in comparison when you bring in the virus, when you bring in the changes to voting, when you bring in the fact that it's not election day, but election season, when you bring in higher turnout than we've ever had before. I think that this is just a different time. And then, you talk about some of the things, the allegations of voter fraud that couldn't be proven, that have been going to court. You talk about Sidney Powell and her saying that, I don't know, Fidel Castro rose from the dead and changed votes. I think it's going to be looked at strangely, but I think at the same time, it's going to be an interesting thing to look at in American history. I think it's an interesting time to be alive. And, hopefully we can look back at this and learn lessons and never return to some of these issues that we have today.
Jason, let's switch things up right now as we go into our second half of conversation here, which really is just about 90 seconds for the both of you. And Jason, I'm going to stay with you right now. When we talk about the coronavirus, the bad news obviously is we're not in a good place right now as we see the caseloads at a highest point. The good news is we have, as of this morning, a third company with very good results as far as a potential vaccine. So, we're a little burned out on COVID right now, I think, as an American people. Which wins out in the end in the next couple of months? The fact that more people are getting it, or the fact that the hope is there for the vaccine?
I think it's going to be both. I mean, there are good things happening. We see that more Americans are going to be able to get the same treatment that the president got with Regeneron. We see AstraZeneca and Pfizer have their vaccines, but that's not going to go out to the majority of American people. A lot of people say they're going to defy the restrictions for the holidays. They think it's worth it. I don't get it, but a lot of people are going to do that. So I think the disease is going to spread. More people are going to get sick. Unfortunately, we're going to have more people pass away from it. People are going to lose family members, and that's the sad part. But I think when you look more into the distant future, the next 6 months or hopefully year, we're going to see some positive light at the end of the tunnel.
I want to get to Jacob for a final word here. Jacob, you got experience in healthcare policy. Does it get worse before it gets better?
It most certainly does. I mean, for all types of diseases, including the flu, and COVID-19 is not too much different, being in the RNA category of viruses. We always see surges and case loads happening right around this time. However, I would say for people who want to go see their families, go ahead and go see your families. The research shows that whenever these types of epidemics are happening, whenever we have mass transit, people visiting their families, moving across the country to visit family members, it only seems to exacerbate the caseloads by about 10%. And with 2 million seniors dying every single year, if you have someone in your family who you may not see too many more times, I would definitely advise you to go see them. That's what I'm going to be doing this weekend.
Jacob Rich, Jason Nichols, thank you both for joining us this morning. We do appreciate it for being with us for Monday morning.